Okay, thank you for joining us at our online symposium. We're doing this in an effort to collaborate City of Los Angeles with the cannabis facilities, all of the cannabis industry, so you can continue doing business legally here in the City of Los Angeles. So my name is Donald Hohola. I'm a senior environmental compliance inspector with the Industrial Waste Management Division. And our agenda today, we're going to be covering uh, industrial waste management purpose, pretreatment program, permitting for cannabis industries, application process, plan check process, industrial class types and how that pertains to you, general requirements and pretreatment, compliance inspection and permit issuance. So first off, what is our purpose? Our purpose is to protect the publicly owned treatment works, which includes our reclamation plants and all sewer lines that run throughout the city. That could be hundreds and thousands of miles of sewer lines that over time with industries discharging into the sewer system tends to degrade the material that it's made out of. And it's our job to make sure that those pollutants that enter into the sewer line does not affect the integrity of the sewer system. We ensure the health and safety and welfare of the public. We also must comply with our own permit through the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, and we do this in collaboration with the businesses that are out there through a pretreatment program. We provide opportunities for biosolids reuse, and we regulate through point source control measures. And these are all the industries regulated is approximately 18,000. That could be plus or minus a few hundred due to businesses opening and closing. Here's an overview of what it is that we take care of. This is the reclamation plant here. And you can see we have a lot of different sources that come into here. This treatment plant primarily takes care of domestic wastewater. Industrial wastewater that goes into the treatment plant puts a stress on it. And so we need to permit industries out there to control what kind of pollutants get discharged into the sewer system so that we don't have plant upsets and we do not violate our own permit, which is our requirement to discharge clean water into the oceans or rivers so that it could be reused again or even reclaimed water for irrigation. So what is the pretreatment program elements? Okay, so we need to identify our industrial users. And this is taking place now with the cannabis industry. With the cannabis industry being as new as it is, the cannabis industry is now identified as an industrial user. So we need to monitor the level of pollutants and volume of flow from businesses who discharge into the sewer systems. So we also need to issue out permits and regulate those businesses, which includes the cannabis industry. So our inspectors, once you guys are issued a permit, must go and inspect your facility for all the processes that it's going through. We look for new processes. If you guys are expanding and you add new lines into your system, we need to, what is that called? We need to update our database with those new systems that you put in there. Our inspectors will also sample some of the effluent that's coming out of your facility so that we can determine what kind of pollutants and discharges is entering into the system. So permitting for cannabis industries, this is really important. All cannabis facilities need to be permitted with the City of Los Angeles Industrial Waste Management Division. We're going to be going over permit application, plan check, which includes plumbing and site plans, pre-treatment equipment, if required, the requirements that you guys have to succumb to, which is in your issued permit. Compliance inspection and permit issuance. Okay. So the application for all of the facilities that are out there that currently do not have a permit with the City of Los Angeles Industrial Waste Management Division, you must apply for a permit. Okay. So the application process is we need a fully completed application, check for $616. We need a copy of your waste management plan. It's a state requirement, as well as a requirement from the Department of Cannabis regulations. So we're not asking you to reinvent the wheel. We just need you to send us the current one that you have, and that'll be just fine. We also need a copy of your Department of City of Los Angeles Cannabis Regulations license. This assures us that you are legally working in the City of Los Angeles and doing business. And we also need, for the plans that you submit, is 3 sets of plans. We need your site plan, which includes your lateral that is connected to the city sewer system, and it shows the streets that are in front of your property and your address. And we also need your plumbing plans. Primarily, we need your discharge plumbing plans, where all your sewer lines are going, all of the connections that you have that is discharging into the sewer system, and any pretreatment systems you might have there, including a sample box. So, plan check process. Once again, 3 sets of plumbing plans, site plan, process, flow diagram. That's the key word I was looking for. It's a process flow diagram. Who are the plans for? So if we need 3 sets, what do you need them for? Well, we're going to keep one for ourselves. The Department of Building and Safety is going to need one so you can move forward in your construction. And for your own personal records. Okay. Now, I know that there are some cases out there where you guys have existing facilities where you're doing business and you still don't have a permit, and you may not have plans to submit. So your site plan, which is the same plan you'd have posted on the door for your fire exits, would be fine. You can go ahead and submit that along with the application. And if you can, draw in on that same sheet, on a separate sheet with the same drawing, the process flows, so we can understand what your processes are and where it's being discharged to. And that'll be just fine. And we need a fully completed application. Okay, so there are 5 industrial class types in the city of LA. So all of those types are testing laboratories, cultivators, extraction and manufacturing, food and beverage manufacturing, and our cannabis retailers. Okay, now we're going to go over the general requirements. All industrial classes must have a sample point, except retailers with no industrial discharge. But we need a sample point for all other facilities so we can go ahead and determine the type of load that the city of LA is receiving from your facility. All industrial wastewater, not domestic sewage, must flow through pretreatment and/or sample point prior to discharge to the sewer system. Now, there's a lot of questions. People don't understand what the difference is between domestic sewage and the industrial wastewater. Domestic sewage is anything coming from your toilets or your break rooms or your kitchens, okay, unless you're a restaurant. Industrial wastewater is all other discharges from your facility that goes into the sewer system. Okay, that includes your mop water. That includes any hand sinks you might have in any of your rooms, except for the bathrooms, and all other discharges that comes from your grow rooms or your nutrient rooms or anything else. that must go through your pretreatment system or a sample point. You will be subject to an unannounced or appointment inspection. Primarily, we do unannounced inspections, but in some very sensitive situations, we may go ahead and set up an appointment to go inspect your facility. We will ask you for certain documents that pertain to your permit conditions. So if you have a waste management plan, I can guarantee you my inspector is going to be asking you for a manifest of the last time that you had sent off any of your waste materials to make sure that you're in compliance with your waste management plan. That's just one example. All plumbing must be hard piped. This is what we ask for. We do not want loose water hoses running all over your facility, because what happens is that gives you an opportunity for someone to move that line around somewhere and discharge it bypassing the pretreatment system. That is frowned upon. So if you can, have all of your plumbing hard piped. So pretreatment elements. There are different forms of pretreatment. The most common form is a clarifier. So if you're a cultivation facility and you're using soil-based materials, or your manufacturer, you will be required to install a clarifier. Okay, the clarifier pulls out any sediment or anything that might be floatable, and then allows a little bit cleaner water to enter into the sewer system. So you may be required to have a clarifier. You may be required to have pH neutralization, usually within manufacturing. You will be required to have screening in all cases, and or filtration. This is only a small example of the types of pretreatment elements that you may have. It's the most common, but in some cases, we may require you to have some other system in there in order to pre-treat your water before it discharges, depending upon the type of pollutants that you're producing. So let's go over requirements of research and testing laboratories. Definitely all places need to have screening. That's a screen in your sinks or your floor sinks or any drains that you have to stop any large materials from entering into the sewer system. A sample point is definitely required for all laboratories. A flow totalizer is also required. This way, when the inspector goes over there, we can find out exactly the kind of flow that is being discharged into the sewer system and what kind of impact it's having as a whole. 2 inspections per year the research laboratories will have to go through. And you must have your waste management plan, and we'll make sure that you guys are doing what you're supposed to do in that waste management plan. So the next one is your cultivators. Okay, so you are required to have pretreatment, a clarifier, unless you're hydroponics. Now, technically speaking, hydroponics is the plant's roots sitting in the sewer system. I mean, sorry, not sewer, in the water directly. Okay, and there's no substrate for the roots to sit on. But in the city of Los Angeles, we have accepted that the use of rock wool is a hydroponic process. So anything other than the use of rock wool, any kind of soil, coconut husk, or anything else for that matter, potting soil, you will have to have a clarifier. In this case, with hydroponics and the use of rock wool, all we need is a sample point, and you will have to have some screening in place to remove any large debris that may flow through there. Flow totalizer is also required, your waste management plan, and you will have 1 inspection per year. Extraction and manufacturers. You will have to have a clarifier. Can't get around that. You will have to have pre-screening. You will have to have a sample point, a flow totalizer, waste management plan, and 4 inspections per year. Requirements for the food and beverage manufacturing Okay, so this is not a restaurant. This is considered companies that do food manufacturing, where they package it and then they send it off to the retailers and they serve it to the people, or they sell it to the people. So food manufacturers have to have a clarifier, or what we call a grease interceptor. If you're pre-existing facility and you cannot put a grease interceptor in, then we can allow you to have a grease trap. You also have to have screening, a sample point, flow totalizer, waste management plan, and you're subject to 3 inspections per year. One other thing that you guys have that nobody else has is you must practice best management practices. I'm not going to cover that today, but if there's any facilities out there that are food manufacturers, then our inspector will come to your facility and explain to you and give you all kinds of information about best management practices. So, retailers. Why do retailers need a permit? Well, the industrial processes include floor washing, cleaning general equipment, and potential dumping of expired oils down drains. Now, we know that isn't something that you guys do because you have to comply with all the rules, laws, and regulations of your waste management plan. But there's always still a potential of that happening. So that's one thing. You're going to have 1 inspection per year, and you must have your cannabis waste management plan. Pre-treatment is screens. So if you have any floor drains anywhere in your facility, you must have a screen over it so that no large debris or anything can go in the sewer system and create any blockages. So what happens when an inspector comes to your facility? Okay, so compliance inspection. First thing he's going to do is he's going to check your totalizer to see how much flow is being discharged. If you don't have one, he's going to run a flow calculation based on your water usage from your DWP water. And we're going to look at your flow logs. We're going to look at your pH logs. And we're going to go through your process flow. Okay, so we want to take a look at your entire flow, your discharges, your processes, and everything that you're doing, and see if there's anything new that's occurring, so that if there is, we can amend your permit and add that to it. If there's any changes where things are reduced, we can also amend your permit and make those changes so that we understand what the flow is and what the processes are that's happening at your facility. We're going to ask you for your manifest records, pre-treatment equipment requirements. We're going to check your pre-treatment system. We're going to look at it. We're going to make sure it's functioning and it's being properly maintained on a regular basis. Wastewater discharge compliance. So in your permit, you're going to be given information about certain parameters that you can discharge into the sewer system. And if you exceed certain parameters, then you will be in violation. So our inspector will make sure that doesn't happen to you. And then if it does, he'll inform you, and then you'll be issued a notice of violation. And then all you have to do is correct it and everything will be fine. So any business changes, for example, is a change of ownership. Sometimes people don't understand this. If it's a sole proprietor and you sold your business to somebody else, then that's a change of ownership. Sometimes a CEO or president of a corporation changes their corporation and it becomes a different name, but it's the same CEO. The CEO is not the owner of the business. The owner of the business is the corporation. So if for whatever reason the corporate name changes, then that's a change of ownership and you must reapply for a new permit. That's just an example. Permit issuance. Once you're issued the permit, please read it. Read if there are any special conditions for your particular facility. look at the requirements that we're asking you to abide by, follow any schedules. So in some cases, your facility may be considered a batch discharger. If you're a batch discharger, then you must inform Industrial Waste Management Division 48 hours in advance notice. That gives the inspector the opportunity to go to your facility and sample your wastewater. So LIU permits, which is all the cannabis facilities that are out there, LIU permits do not expire. Once you pay your $616 fee and you process your application, that is good for the life of your business as long as you're doing business there, unless there's a change of ownership or something else happens. So you don't have to keep on paying that fee year over year like some places require you to do. Permits are not transferable. So if you have an application, if you have a permit and you move from one location address to another, let's say you move across the street, the permit does not transfer across the street. If you sell your business and it's a new ownership, the permit does not transfer over to the new owner. If there's any changes like that, you must apply for a new permit. Okay? So that being said, I want to thank you for listening. My name is Donald, Senior Environmental Compliance Inspector. This is my contact information, my phone number, and my email address. You can go ahead and write that down. You can give me a call for any questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer those phone calls or an email.